The impossible discovery Dr. Kex, the galaxy's most renowned physicist from the Crystalline Prism Collective, stared at his scanner readings in complete disbelief. His crystalline body flickered with confusion patterns that his species displayed when encountering something that violated their understanding of universal laws. The human research vessel Discovery floated peacefully in the neutral zone, its hull appearing ordinary to casual observation. But Kex's advanced sensors detected energy signatures that should have been impossible according to every known law of physics. "This cannot be correct," Kex muttered to his research assistant, Dr. Volt from the Electric-based Storm Federation. "Run the scans again. Check for equipment malfunction." Volt's energy patterns sparked with equal confusion as he confirmed the readings. "Sir, all instruments are functioning perfectly. The human ship is indeed generating energy patterns that our physics models cannot explain." The galactic scientific community had studied humanity for decades since first contact. Humans were considered competent but unremarkable a young species, with basic technology and simple understanding of physical laws. They built reliable ships, established efficient trade routes, and maintained peaceful relations, but nothing about them suggested advanced scientific capabilities. Yet the readings from the Discovery challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about human technology. "Energy output exceeds input by a factor of 3, Volt reported, his electrical field crackling with bewilderment. "According to our understanding of thermodynamics, this is absolutely impossible." Dr. Blue from the aquatic deep current species swam in her mobile habitat tank, studying quantum field measurements that made no sense. The space-time distortions around their vessel suggest they're manipulating fundamental forces in ways we've never seen before. The 3 scientists represented the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. The Prism Collective had mastered crystalline-based physics for millennia. The Storm Federation understood energy manipulation better than any other species. The Deep Current possessed the most sophisticated quantum mechanics. Knowledge in known space. None of them could explain what the humans were doing. Captain Lisa Park of the Discovery received the request for scientific exchange with polite surprise. The human crew had been conducting routine mineral surveys in the asteroid belt when the alien research vessels approached requesting permission to study their ship's unusual energy characteristics. "Unusual energy characteristics?" Lisa asked her chief engineer, Commander Tom Wells. "What are they talking about?" Tom shrugged with typical human casualness. "Probably the new fusion drive system we installed last month. The efficiency improvements have been pretty impressive." Lisa nodded, remembering the retrofit. The engineering team had replaced their old propulsion system with the latest human design, a compact fusion reactor that their scientists claimed was more efficient than previous models. Nothing seemed particularly remarkable about it. Grant their request, Lisa decided. We've got nothing to hide, and scientific cooperation builds good relations. What the humans didn't understand was that their routine efficiency improvements had achieved something the galaxy's greatest minds had been trying to accomplish for thousands of years. Practical over-unity energy generation. Dr. Kex boarded the human vessel with his team, expecting to quickly identify the source of the impossible. Readings. Human technology was supposed to be straightforward and comprehensible. Instead, he found systems that seemed to violate causality itself. "Where is your primary power generation facility?" Kex asked Captain Park during the tour. "Right here," Lisa replied, gesturing to a compact chamber that housed the fusion reactor. "Tom can explain the technical details better than I can." Tom led the alien scientists into the engineering section with the pride of someone showing off well-designed equipment. "She's a beauty," he said, patting the reactor housing. "Clean fusion, minimal waste products, and about 30% more efficient than our old drives." The alien scientists stared at the device that was casually violating the most fundamental laws of physics they knew. Their instruments detected impossible energy cascades, quantum fluctuations that shouldn't exist, and field interactions that had no theoretical basis. "How does it work?" Dr. Blue asked, her aquatic form pressed against her tank's viewing port. Tom scratched his head, thinking. "Well, the deuterium and tritium undergo fusion in the reaction chamber, but we found that certain magnetic field configurations create resonance patterns that amplify the energy output. Our physicists think it has something to do with quantum field interactions, but honestly, I just maintain the systems." The alien scientists exchanged glances that conveyed volumes. This human engineer was casually describing technology that represented the holy grail of galactic physics research, and he spoke about it like it was a minor improvement to an existing design. "Could we perhaps speak with your physicists?" Kex asked carefully. "Sure," Tom replied. "Dr. Kate is probably in the lab. Fair warning, though, he gets pretty excited about quantum mechanics. Most of us can't follow half of what she says." As they headed toward the science section, the alien researchers realized they were about to encounter something unprecedented. Humans who had accidentally achieved technological breakthroughs that the galaxy's greatest minds considered theoretically impossible. The impossible physics DR. Kate Smith looked up from her quantum field equations as the alien scientists entered her laboratory, her face brightening with the enthusiasm of someone who rarely got to discuss her work with fellow physicists. "Oh, wonderful," Kate exclaimed, setting aside her tablet covered with mathematical formulations that made Dr. Kex's crystalline structure flicker with confusion. "I've been hoping to meet some galactic physicists. I have so many questions about your field theory approaches." Dr. Kex struggled to maintain his composure as he observed Kate's workspace. Equations covered every available surface, but they weren't following any mathematical framework he recognized. The human physicist had apparently developed entirely new approaches to describing reality. "Dr. Smith," Kex began carefully, "we're very interested in your fusion reactor design. The energy characteristics are ... unusual." Kate's eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh, you mean the quantum resonance amplification? That was actually an accident. We were trying to improve magnetic field stability when Mike noticed that certain frequency patterns created these weird energy spikes." She gestured enthusiastically at a holographic display showing the reactor's internal processes. "See, when you modulate the magnetic containment fields at precisely 47.3 terahertz, you create quantum field oscillations that somehow tap into zero-point energy fluctuations. Dr. Volt's electrical patterns nearly short-circuited with shock. Zero-point energy extraction was considered theoretical at best, practically impossible by every galactic physicist. Yet this human described it as an accidental discovery. Zero-point energy extraction has never been successfully demonstrated." Dr. Blue managed to say through her aquatic translator. Kate looked puzzled. "Really? But it's actually pretty straightforward once you understand the field interaction principles. Here, let me show you the math." She activated a three-dimensional mathematical model that made all three alien scientists step back in amazement. The equations described reality in ways their science had never imagined possible. "You see," Kate continued, oblivious to her audience's shock, "most approaches to zero-point energy try to extract power directly from quantum vacuum fluctuations. But that's inefficient, because you're fighting the universe's tendency toward equilibrium." She manipulated the holographic display to show energy flow patterns. "Instead, we discovered that you can create resonance states that amplify the vacuum fluctuations themselves. The universe does most of the work for you." Dr. Kex processed this information with growing amazement and horror. The human physicist was casually describing methods that could revolutionize galactic civilization overnight. Energy scarcity, the fundamental limitation that drove most interstellar conflicts, could become obsolete. How long have humans possessed this technology? Vault asked. About 6 months for practical applications, Kate replied, though the theoretical framework has been developing for about 3 years now. Mike stumbled onto the resonance effect while trying to solve magnetic containment issues with our old reactors. 6 months. In 6 months, humanity had achieved what galactic civilization had been pursuing for millennia. Dr. Blue floated closer to the equations, her aquatic brain processing mathematical relationships that challenged everything she thought she knew about physics. These field equations, they're not based on our standard models. Well, no, Kate said with slight confusion. Those models work fine for most applications, but they break down when you're dealing with quantum-scale field interactions. In high-energy environments, we had to develop new mathematical frameworks to describe what we were observing. She pulled up another display showing experimental data. The funny thing is, once we started looking for these effects, we found evidence that they're everywhere. The galaxy is full of natural zero-point energy resonances. We just learned how to replicate them artificially. The alien scientists realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. Humanity hadn't just made a technological breakthrough. They had developed entirely new scientific paradigms that made their discoveries possible. Dr. Smith, Kex asked carefully, would you be willing to share this research with the galactic scientific community? Kate brightened even more. Of course, science should be shared. Though I should warn you, some of our approaches might seem unconventional. Human physics has always been a bit intuitive compared to other species. As the alien scientists prepared to study human research methods, they began to understand that they hadn't just discovered new technology. They had encountered a species that thought about reality in fundamentally different ways than the rest. Of the galaxy, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their machines. It was their ability to see possibilities that other species considered impossible. The paradigm shift news of humanity's impossible technology spread through the galactic scientific community like wildfire. Within days, research vessels from dozens of species converged on human space, each hoping to understand how a supposedly primitive species had achieved the impossible. The Nexus Institute, the galaxy's premier scientific research facility, convened an emergency conference to address what its directors were calling the human anomaly. Representatives from every major civilization gathered in the vast auditorium to discuss findings that challenged fundamental assumptions about physics and technology. Dr. Prime, the ancient leader of the machine collective, addressed the assembly with circuits flickering in patterns that conveyed deep confusion. In 10,000 years of research, my civilization has never encountered technology that violates basic thermodynamic principles. Yet human devices consistently produce more energy than they consume. Professor Wise from the Scholar Worlds presented her analysis to the stunned audience. After studying human research methods for 2 weeks, my team has reached a disturbing conclusion. Humans don't just build technology differently, they think about reality differently. The implications were staggering. Every galactic civilization had developed science by building on established principles, refining understanding through careful observation and mathematical proof. Humans seem to approach research by questioning those very principles. Dr. Reed, humanity's representative to the conference, found herself at the center of scientific attention, unlike anything in galactic history. Physicists who had spent centuries mastering universal laws now hung on every word from a species they had previously dismissed as technologically backward. Dr. Reed asked Chief Researcher Bright from the Crystal Collective, how did your species develop such advanced capabilities in such a short time? Reed considered the question carefully. I think it might be because we started from a different place. Most galactic civilizations developed science after achieving interstellar travel. You had established frameworks before you encountered other species' approaches. She activated a holographic display showing the evolution of human scientific thought. Humanity developed science while isolated on a single world. We had to figure everything out from scratch, without preconceived notions about what was possible or impossible. The alien scientists studied charts showing humanity's scientific development with growing amazement. Human researchers had consistently challenged established principles, often discovering new phenomena by investigating areas that galactic science considered fully understood. For example, Reed continued, galactic physics assumes that energy extraction from quantum vacuum is impossible because it violates conservation laws. But humans asked a different question. What if conservation works differently at quantum scales than we assumed? Dr. Stone, humanity's leading theoretical physicist, had been invited to present his research on quantum field mechanics. His presentation would fundamentally change galactic understanding of reality. The key insight, Stone explained to the packed auditorium, is that the universe isn't actually trying to conserve energy in the way we traditionally assumed. At quantum scales, reality is constantly borrowing and returning energy from future states. He showed mathematical models that made several alien scientists leave the conference in shock. What we call over-unity is actually just tapping into temporal energy gradients that exist naturally throughout space-time. The concept was so revolutionary that several species scientific establishments went into emergency session to debate its implications. If humans were correct, then every galactic civilization had been operating under fundamental misconceptions about how reality worked. Captain Max, commanding the research vessel Innovation, reported back to Earth with updates that amazed human leadership. Sir, they're treating our basic engineering principles like revolutionary discoveries. The galaxy's top scientists are studying our maintenance manuals like sacred texts. President Dale received regular briefings on the unprecedented scientific exchange taking place in human space. How are our people handling all this attention? Honestly, sir, his science advisor Dr. Lake replied, most of our researchers are just excited to have colleagues who can keep up with their theoretical discussions. Dr. Kate says it's the most stimulating scientific environment she's ever experienced. But the implications extended far beyond academic excitement. Galactic civilization faced the reality that their understanding of physics was incomplete in ways that fundamentally limited their technological development. Species that had considered themselves scientifically advanced found themselves studying under humans who were barely a century into their space age. The youngest civilization in the galaxy had become its greatest teachers, not through conquest or diplomacy, but through the simple act of questioning assumptions that others had never thought to challenge. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's greatest technology wasn't their machines. It was their willingness to think about problems in ways that no one else had considered possible. The learning process, the Galactic Science Exchange Program, hastily established to facilitate learning from human research methods, transformed research stations across known space into classrooms where alien scientists struggled to understand humanity's unconventional approaches to physics. Dr. Amy, a human physicist barely out of graduate school, found herself teaching concepts to beings who had spent centuries mastering traditional galactic science. Her classroom aboard the research station Unity was filled with some of the galaxy's most brilliant minds, all struggling to unlearn millennia of established thinking. The problem with traditional galactic physics, Amy explained to her class, of distinguished alien scientists, is that it assumes the universe follows rules, but reality is more like guidelines that can be bent if you understand the underlying flexibility. Dr. Kex, attending as a student for the first time in his 1,000-year career, struggled to process this concept. But without universal laws, how do you predict outcomes or design reliable technology? Amy smiled with the patience of someone who had explained this many times before. You don't predict outcomes, you negotiate with them. Human technology works by convincing reality to behave differently, not by forcing it to follow predetermined rules. This approach baffled alien scientists, whose entire understanding of physics was based on discovering and following natural laws. Humans seem to treat physical laws as starting points for negotiation, rather than absolute constraints. Professor Bell from the Archive Worlds recorded every human lesson for posterity, knowing that these sessions would transform galactic science for millennia to come. Dr. Amy, could you explain how human engineers achieve impossible efficiency ratios? It's not impossible if you're not fighting the universe, Amy replied, activating a demonstration device. See, traditional engineering tries to overcome natural resistance. Human engineering asks why that resistance exists and whether it's really necessary. The device she showed was a simple power converter that achieved 110% efficiency, something that violated thermodynamics according to every galactic textbook. Yet it worked consistently, powering itself and producing excess energy that could be used for other purposes. The key, Amy continued, is understanding that energy doesn't actually want to be conserved at quantum scales. Conservation is a statistical effect that emerges from quantum interactions. If you work with individual quantum events instead of statistical averages, different rules apply. Dr. Volt's electrical patterns sparked with confusion and excitement. His species had spent millennia studying energy manipulation, yet humans had discovered principles that made his civilization's greatest achievements look primitive. Meanwhile, human scientists found themselves equally amazed by what galactic science had accomplished within its traditional frameworks. Dr. Mike, working with crystal-based computation methods learned from the Prism Collective, made breakthrough discoveries by combining human intuitive approaches with alien systematic methods. It's fascinating, Mike reported to his human colleagues. They've developed incredibly sophisticated mathematics for describing reality within established parameters. When you combine their precision with our flexibility, you get results that neither approach could achieve alone. The collaboration was producing technologies that surpassed anything either humans or aliens had developed independently. Hybrid devices that used galactic precision engineering guided by human intuitive physics created capabilities that seemed almost magical. Captain Sue, observing the research exchanges from her command of the liaison vessel bridge, noted the changing dynamics between species. The aliens came here expecting to study our technology. Instead, they're learning to think like us. Wow. We're learning to be more systematic like them. The most remarkable discovery was that human intuitive physics wasn't actually intuitive at all. It was based on unconscious pattern recognition that humans had developed through their unique evolutionary history. Humans had learned to survive by instinctively understanding how complex systems behaved under stress. Dr. Wise from the Scholar Worlds made this observation during a joint research session. Human neural architecture appears optimized for recognizing hidden patterns in chaotic systems. You literally think differently about causality than other species. This neurological difference explained why humans could see possibilities that other species missed. Where alien minds sought logical consistency, human brains looked for hidden connections and unexpected relationships. The exchange program revealed that the galaxy's scientific stagnation hadn't been due to lack of intelligence or effort, but because every species had approached research from similar systematic perspectives. Humanity brought chaos theory to a universe that had been trying to eliminate chaos. As the program expanded, both humans and aliens began to understand that their greatest discoveries would come not from studying each other's technology, but from learning to think in fundamentally different ways about the nature of reality itself. The new galactic renaissance, 6 months after the first contact between human and alien scientists. The galaxy experienced a technological renaissance, unlike anything in its recorded history. The combination of human intuitive physics and alien systematic methodology had unlocked discoveries that neither approach could have achieved alone. Dr. Kate, now leading the Joint Species Research Initiative from the massive research complex orbiting Earth, marveled at the speed of advancement. Her laboratory hosted beings from 17 different species, all working together on projects that would have been considered impossible before human science revealed new possibilities. Status report on the Unified Field Project. Kate requested from her diverse team. Dr. Kex, now Kate's research partner, rather than a confused observer, responded with crystalline patterns that conveyed excitement. The fusion of your quantum negotiation principles with our mathematical precision has produced a working unified field theory. We should have practical applications within months. The unified field theory represented the holy grail of galactic physics, a single, mathematical framework that could describe all fundamental forces. Human intuitive understanding of quantum flexibility had provided the missing piece that alien systematic approaches had been unable to find. Captain Lisa, now commanding the first hybrid technology starship Harmony, tested propulsion systems that shouldn't have been possible according to any previous understanding of physics. Her vessel could travel between stars in days rather than months, using drives that borrowed energy from future states and repaid it through temporal resonance loops. Engineering report, Lisa requested from her mixed human-alien crew. Commander Vault, the Storm Federation engineer who had first detected impossible human energy signatures, managed the ship's power systems with newfound understanding. Sir, all systems operating at 340% theoretical efficiency. The temporal energy taps are providing more power than we can use. The ship itself embodied the new galactic approach to technology. Human intuitive design created systems that worked by convincing reality to behave differently, while alien precision engineering ensured that these reality-bending devices operated reliably and safely. President Dale addressed the Galactic Council from the chamber aboard New Geneva Station, speaking to representatives of civilizations that had fundamentally changed their approach to science and technology. 6 months ago, Dale began, the galaxy saw humanity as a young species with basic technology. Today, our species work together as partners in discoveries that are transforming civilization itself. The changes extended far beyond pure science. Entire industries had emerged around hybrid technologies that combined human reality manipulation with alien precision manufacturing. Energy scarcity, the limitation that had driven interstellar conflicts for millennia, was becoming obsolete as species learned to tap previously inaccessible power sources. Dr. Amy, now director of the Intuitive Physics Institute, taught advanced courses to alien scientists who had once considered her species primitive. Her students included beings who had spent centuries perfecting traditional approaches, but now embraced human methods of questioning fundamental assumptions. Remember, Amy told her class of distinguished galactic researchers, the universe isn't trying to stop you from doing something, it's just following habits. If you can convince it to try a different habit, anything becomes possible. This philosophy had revolutionized galactic engineering. Where previous technology worked by overcoming natural resistance, hybrid designs worked by changing the nature of that resistance itself. The results were machines that seemed to violate physics while actually operating according to deeper principles that galactic science had never suspected. The most profound changes occurred in how species thought about problems. Alien civilizations that had spent millennia perfecting systematic approaches began incorporating human-style lateral thinking into their research methods. Meanwhile, humans learned to apply alien precision to their intuitive discoveries, creating technologies that were both revolutionary and reliable. Dr. Mike, leading the Hybrid Technology Development Center, coordinated projects that would have been impossible before the species learned to combine their different approaches to understanding reality. Project status across all departments? Mike requested from his diverse team. The responses came from beings representing every major galactic civilization, all working together on technologies that transcended anything their individual species had achieved. Matter transmission, consciousness transfer, artificial gravity, and even limited time manipulation had moved from theoretical possibility to practical application. Elder wise of the scholar worlds reflected on the transformation during the 6-month anniversary celebration. We spent millennia believing we understood the limits of what was possible. Humanity showed us that those limits existed only in our thinking. The galaxy had learned that its greatest discoveries would come not from following established rules, but from questioning whether those rules were actually necessary. Humanity's gift to galactic civilization wasn't advanced technology. It was the courage to imagine that reality itself might be more flexible than anyone had dared to believe. The universe had always been capable of wonders. It had simply been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. Asterisk.